Taylor Lorenz is using the term dark money to lie to you, and I am going to break down exactly how she's doing it. In no fewer than 6 videos posted over a 24-hour period, Taylor Lorenz has mentioned dark money a lot. Like a lot.
A powerful liberal dark money group, a dark money group, a notorious liberal dark money group, a dark money group, a dark money group, a powerful dark money group, a political dark money group, dark money fund, or dark money group, dark money group, dark money, and dark money, dark money fund, dark money shady, dark money fund, dark money group, all the dark money in the dark money group, what dark money group, a politically driven dark money organization, dark money groups, and dark money, and getting dark money out of politics.
To fully unravel her deception, we need to be clear about exactly what dark money is. The term dark money was coined in 2010 by the Sunlight Foundation in the wake of the Supreme Court's Citizens United decision, and was later popularized by Jane Mayer in 2016. So what does it mean? According to Open Secrets, dark money refers to spending meant to influence political outcomes where the source of the money is not disclosed. What exactly do we mean by influence political outcomes? They're talking about those political ads for candidates and ballot measures that run during the election season. I'm going to let 2012 Stephen Colbert help me explain how this works. First, it all starts with political action committees, aka PACs.
But folks, I have clearly got to get a PAC, but again, I have no idea what PACs do. Here to tell us what they do is the former chairman of the Federal Election Commission and general counsel for the McCain Campaign 08, Trevor Potter. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Potter. Okay, sir. I'm all set here. Okay, sir. Let's start with some basics here. What is a PAC?
It's a group of individuals who get together and raise and spend money to elect or defeat a candidate, sometimes by contributing to them directly, sometimes by taking out television advertising independently to talk about them or issues that the PAC is focused on.
Why would you form a PAC? Why wouldn't I just give money to a candidate?
You can give money to a candidate, but the amount you can give is limited. And in many cases, if you say the Sierra Club or the NRA or doctors or nurses, they may only be giving small individual amounts, but if they can contribute to the PAC, put it all together, they then have a lot more money to make a bigger noise if they want to contribute or take out advertising.
Okay, so can anybody create a PAC? Can I make my own PAC?
You can.
Okay.
But PACs have a major drawback. They can't take money from corporations. Citizens United created a workaround. Super PACs.
There is another approach you could try.
What other approach? What's that?
Well, there's something called a super PAC.
What's a super PAC? Is that like a PAC that got bitten by a radioactive lobbyist? What's a super PAC?
Well, you'll remember that last year there was a furor over the Supreme Court's decision in the Citizens United case.
Oh, that said that corporations are people and people have free speech, therefore money is speech and corporations can give unlimited money to political issues.
Yes, that was the key ending, is that for the first time corporations can spend an unlimited amount of corporate money and labor money in federal elections. The Federal Election Commission said, well, if they can spend money independently, which the Supreme Court has just said they can, then we ought to give them a vehicle to do it in PAC form so they could do it together. So the Federal Election Commission created last summer what they call a independent expenditure only committee, which is commonly known as a super PAC.
But super PACs are required to disclose their donors. And some billionaires and corporations might not want us to know they're behind the political advertising that their super PACs are doing. So, nonprofit organizations such as 501c4s create the perfect way to get around that.
Now, Trevor, I've got all these people down at the bottom of the screen who've been giving me money, individual Americans. But I haven't gotten any of the big corporate money. That's why I have a super PAC. Why wouldn't a corporation give money?
Well, they'd be nervous about giving in a way that their name is publicly disclosed. People might object to what they've done, their shareholders, their customers.
Okay, so that's where a C4 comes in. A corporation or an individual can give to a C4 and nobody gets to know that they did it,
That's right.
Okay, so how do I get one?
And that money can be used for politics.
Oh, great, that's good too.
So we need to get you one.
As long as it goes through me, it can go to anything at once. So how do I get me one, Trevor?
Well, you are authorizing the corporation to file the papers with the IRS in May 2013.
So I could get money for my C4, use that for political purposes, and nobody knows anything about it till 6 months after the election.
That's right. And even then, they won't know who your donors are.
That's my kind of campaign finance restriction. Okay, so now I've signed it. I have a C4?
You have a C4. It's up and going.
So without this, I am transparent. With this, I am opaque.
That's it.
Can I take the C4 money and then donate it to my super PAC?
You can.
Oh, wait, super PACs are transparent.
Right.
And the C4 is secret. So I can take secret donations of my C4 and give it to my supposedly transparent super PAC.
And it'll say given by your C4.
What is the difference between that and money laundering?
It's hard to say.
And this is essentially what dark money is. According to Open Secrets, whenever money is spent in a political election with the purpose of influencing the decision of a voter, and the source of that money is not disclosed, it is dark money. Then they go on to list what type of nonprofit organizations are not required to disclose their donors. But we're going to focus on 2. First, you have 501c3s, which are not permitted to engage in most political activities and come in 2 flavors: public charities and private foundations. A 501c3 can be considered a public charity when more than 33% of their funds comes from small donors. 72% of all 501c3s are public charities. Public charities engage in activities that are recognized by the IRS as charitable causes. Public charities are not required by law to disclose who their donors are. A 501c3 is considered a private foundation if it is primarily funded by one individual. But here's where it gets interesting. Private foundations don't generally directly engage in charitable cause activities. They provide grants to public charities that do this on their behalf. Private foundations are required by law to disclose who their donors are. An example of a 501c3 is the Omidyar Network, which is a private foundation. This organization is primarily funded by tech billionaires Pierre and Pam Omidyar. Their money can be spent for a variety of purposes, but not on influencing elections. Through Omidyar Network, they may provide money for for-profit venture capital firms, 501c3 public charities, as well as a variety of other organizations. Another type of which is a nonprofit called a 501c4. 501c4s are the second main type of nonprofit group that are not required to disclose their donors. They are permitted to engage in political advertising, so dark money. But here's the key point, so pay close attention. They can only spend up to 49.9% of their money on such activities. That means that 50.1% of the money they spend is not dark money. Let me be crystal clear. Dark money is comprised of two constituent elements. It is money that is spent on political advertising to influence elections, and it comes from undisclosed sources. Since 501c4s can only spend 49.9% of their money on influencing elections, 50.1% of the money they spend cannot be considered dark money, and it is functionally the same as the money a 501c3 spends. So does this mean 501c4s are automatically evil, shady, shadowy groups and we should just get rid of them? Of course not. Some example of 501c4s you might be familiar with include the ACLU, AFL-CIO, Emily's List, the Coalition to Stop Gun Violence, Democratic Socialists of America, Healthcare for America Now, the Human Rights Campaign, Service Employees International Union, March for Our Lives, Planned Parenthood, Secular Coalition for America, the Sierra Club, and Vote Vets. And if you've been paying attention to Taylor Lorenz lately, now you know about another one, 1630 Fund. Now remember how the second constituent element of dark money is that it comes from undisclosed sources? Would it surprise you to learn that the majority of the money donated to 1630 Fund has been disclosed? By far, the largest donor to 1630 Fund is Hans-Jörg Wyss, who has donated a cool $208 million to the fund. Wyss is a Harvard-educated international businessman from Switzerland who resides in rural Wyoming and devotes most of his fortune to philanthropy. In 2019, Wyss received the National Geographic Philanthropist of the Year award for donating over $1 billion to environmental conservation. Wyss has come under fire from far-right media outlets like Newsmax for his bid to purchase the Chicago Tribune and his giving to political nonprofits because he himself is not a U.S. citizen. There were even congressional hearings about him because if his money somehow makes its way into funding political advertising, it would violate laws against foreign influence in U.S. elections. That is why the most recent $145 million in funding Wyss has provided to 1630 Fund was earmarked for non-political spending, that 50.1% of non-political spending that 501c4s are required to budget for. And that's where Chorus comes into play. Chorus is running an incubator program that provides stipends to a select cohort of would-be entrepreneurs to help them develop their craft. Dozens of programs like this exist. Y Combinator, Techstars, Antler, Hacks, IndieBio, Generator, Founding to Give, Alchemist Accelerator, and AngelPad, just to name a few. Some of them, like Y Combinator, exchange financial support in exchange for equity. Some of them, like Founding to Give, offer financial support with no strings attached because they're investing in companies that are promoting some kind of social good. Chorus is a 501c4 social welfare nonprofit, so it makes sense that their intent with this incubator program falls into the latter category. So let's review something real quick. Peter Omidyar, a tech billionaire, gives money to Omidyar Network, money that is legally prohibited from being spent on political advertising, which then funnels that money through their Reporters in Residency program into Taylor Lorenz's pockets to the tune of $8,000 a month for the purpose of helping her develop as a journalist.
Hans-Jörg Wyss,
A Swiss billionaire, gives money to 1630 Fund, money that is legally prohibited from being spent on political advertising, which then funnels that money through the Chorus Incubator program into social media influencers' pockets for as little as $250 a month for the purpose of helping them develop as content creators.
kind of looks like the exact same thing, huh?
By all objective measures, donating money to Chorus seems to fall under that 50.1% of non-political spending 1630 Fund is required to do. That is because Chorus does not engage in political advertising and does not pay creators to make political ads. They are promoting social welfare, just like Omidyar Network's Reporters in Residency program is doing. So if we can confidently point to the source of most of Chorus's funding,
Hans-Jörg Wyss,
through 1630 Fund, and Chorus does not engage in political advertising, Chorus funding cannot, under any sense of the phrase, be considered dark money. And guess where the best evidence is that Chorus is not a dark money recipient that does political advertising? It's hidden in plain sight, right in Taylor Lorenz's own reporting. Think about it.
Hans-Jörg Wyss
Is legally prohibited from spending his money on political advertising. 1630 Fund is legally prohibited from spending 50.1% of their money on political advertising. So if you are Chorus, a recipient of this money with legal implications attached to how it gets spent, what is the one thing you're going to prohibit anyone you pay from doing with that money? Creating illegal political advertising. Chorus has a legal obligation to ensure that none of the money they pay to creators is used to create political ads. So of course they're going to stipulate in their contracts that any media produced directly from their funding is subject to review, so they can ensure it cannot be construed as political advertising. Taylor reports that Chorus had restrictions on what sort of political content the creators could produce. Yes, of course they did. They are legally restricted from creating political ads with Core's money. She also says creators in the program are not allowed to use any funds or resources that they receive as part of the program to make content that supports or opposes any political candidate or campaign without express authorization from Chorus in advance and in writing. Yes, because that kind of content would be political advertising and against the law. She goes on to say, the contracts reviewed by Wired prohibit standard partnership disclosures. Well, of course they did, because standard partnership disclosures are what you put on a political ad. So if a creator produced content with a standard partnership disclosure on it, that would imply Chorus was paying for a political ad, which they are legally prohibited from doing. These contracts give Chorus the ability to force creators to remove or correct content based solely on the organizer's discretion if that content was made at a Chorus organized event. Again, this is because content made at a Chorus organized event cannot take the form of political advertising, and Chorus has an obligation to prevent creators from causing them to break the law. Finally, she quotes Graham Wilson, a lawyer working with Chorus, out of context as saying, it also, with the structure of it, avoids a lot of the public disclosures or public disclaimers, paid for by blah, 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 that you see in political ads. We don't need to deal with any of that. Precisely. They don't need to deal with any of that because they are not producing political ads.
The article says that the lawyer was, we had a meeting where we talked about how to thwart FTC guidelines. No, I was on that call. What it was there are very strict FTC, FEC campaign finance guidelines that you have to follow. And if you don't, you can fuck your life up. For example, if the money we take from Chorus, if we use that to donate or contribute to a campaign, that's a campaign finance violation. We can get in big fucking trouble for that.
Do you see now how context can make such a huge difference over how you interpret something you read? And by withholding context and couching these statements in an article about dark money that isn't really dark money, Taylor Lorenz has misled her audience to believe the exact opposite of the truth. That Chorus is secretly funneling anonymous billionaire money into the pockets of content creators for the purpose of creating political ads. This is how you lie by omission. This is how you misuse the truth so that you can pass Wired's fact-checking process and avoid legal liability to communicate a message that is the opposite of the truth. So why does this matter? In the run-up to the 2024 election, several prominent leftist content creators started shouting from the rooftops, the FEC doesn't require social media posts to disclose whether or not they are political ads paid for by the DNC. This created an environment where anyone on social media who shares an opinion you disagree with or don't like, you could simply declare without evidence that opinion is bought and paid for, and therefore invalid. And the creator who shared it is a sellout, regardless of whether or not you had evidence or that was true. The political spectrum left of center is vast, so of course people on that side of the aisle are going to have a wide range of views on political issues. The correct way to resolve these political differences is through conversation and debate within community. But the way certain anti-establishment leftists decided to resolve these differences was by launching a witch hunt, where everyone who wasn't as far left as them must be morally compromised and part of a vast conspiracy run by the establishment, paying influencers to promote inauthentic and insincere political views, despite there not being a shred of credible evidence to back this up. That's the beauty about this kind of conspiracy. It's about someone not having to disclose who is paying them, so anyone can be a target. And that witch hunt continues to this day. It is in this environment that Taylor Lorenz hoodwinked Wired into dumping this blatantly dishonest article about dark money that isn't actually dark money onto the internet. Rather than accurately informing her audience, she's poured gasoline onto the fire of toxic conspiracy theorists who are saying, look, this proves we were right all along. Everyone we disagree with on the left is morally compromised. They are producing political ads in secret and not disclosing who is paying for it. Taylor Lorenz knows exactly what she's doing. I don't know what her ultimate motives are. Perhaps it's just generating controversy to achieve notoriety and further her career. Perhaps she resents amateur social media influencers that she thinks she's better than.
Influencers in my story are so desperate. I'm actually shocked how ignorant and stupid these people are. I'm shocked at how stupid these people are. It's shocking how stupid you guys are.
From crowding into her niche as a journalist of being a source of news and information.
This is exactly the problem with people getting their news from influencers.
Perhaps she's so blinded by her own well-meaning agenda against unlimited political spending that she can justify obscuring the truth in order to raise awareness about the issue. I don't know, and therefore I refuse to speculatively impugn her motives. All I know is that she has repeatedly lied in this article, by omission, so she could claim plausible deniability, and intentionally misled her readers to falsely conclude that dozens of social media influencers are receiving dark money through Chorus to produce political advertising when the exact opposite is true. And she should know better.
And then millions of people on this app, as I've written about so many times, believe these lies. And it's horrible. It's corrosive to journalism. It's really awful. And I wish that all of you guys would get some media literacy.